So, about 3 months ago, we got the news that there was going to be a prequel to The Hunger Games, which I think made many of us excited because me, at least, and I know a few others, have been wanting to know more about the world of Panem beyond the eyes of Katniss. She's a fantastic protagonist, well written, a realistic person, but you are talking about, this dystopian society. There's obviously hundreds of other people going through the same thing, and while it was, again, fantastic that the books were written through her perspective, because I don't think it would have the same feel if it was written in third person. You once you get to like Catching Fire and you see the other tributes and everything, and the people who have been in the games before her, you start to want to know their story as well. And while you get little tidbits here and there, from Katniss talking about previous games and what she knows about them, you obviously don't know anything about them really. So, when the prequel was announced, a lot of people, were just thinking and giving theories about, what is this going to be? What is it going to cover? Because there's a lot of things that, could have been covered, obviously, in Mockingjay, but unfortunately they were not. And that is, for me, what was disappointing about that book. I mean, an unpopular opinion is that I actually like that one. I know a lot of people don't because of, all the deaths and everything in there. And I understand some things became kind of pointless when certain things happened. But I believe, Suzanne Collins was trying to make things a little bit more realistic. Realistically in, war and rebellion, people don't just, not die because of friendship or love or, defeating the bad guy. I feel she was trying to go for something more realistic with what happens in battle and PTSD and, all that other stuff. And I understand why some people are disappointed. I mean, a few of my favorites were, killed off in the second and third book and everything. But, like I said, my biggest disappointment with it came from, wanting to know more about the society, how the politics worked, how certain people, well, we obviously figured out how Snow came into power, but, there's still, how did he get to the point, of getting into politics, what was a person like that like as a child? How did people, come up with this idea, this insane, cruel, way to, not have a rebellion again? Who like signed off on this kind of thing? And that was brought up in. But, the things are never answered. And I guess in a way that kind of makes sense. I don't know if she was planning to write a prequel, but if she is, I suppose that makes sense because, if you're living in this type of oppressed dystopian society, with a dictator like government, you're not going to have access to a lot of information. And, there were things that kind of, surprised our protagonists, like people being able to vote for their leaders and where some of our language came from, like Latin and everything. And, it would make sense that their knowledge would be limited because obviously you can't run that type of life, that type of government, if your people have, access to knowledge and everything. So, maybe she wasn't planning on writing one, but I can see why she kind of gave in, because the fans obviously weren't, satisfied with everything. I think most of it happened, with people dying off, but there's people like me who are like, no, we really want to know more about how this operates. And so then we get the announcement, like I said, about the prequel, and people are speculating about whose games this is going to be, because it's supposed to take place on the 10th games and after the Dark Days. A lot of people thought it would have been Mags, but she's the 11th. And so yesterday, we finally get a title and a cover. We still don't have a protagonist, so we have no idea whose games this is going to be. We have no idea if it's male or female. We have no idea what district this person is coming from. All we know is it is, a decade after the games have started, basically, after the Dark Days. And so, I think a lot of people have mixed feelings on the cover. I know a few have said they really don't like it. It's ugly. And to be honest, I myself am really surprised by it, to say that I'm not, would be lying, because, I don't want to say this is a cash grab, because this is one of my favorite books, and I haven't really read a whole lot of series, but I love the series as a whole, and I love the topics that it covers. I think things like, violence and poverty and stuff, need to be talked about and everything, because people in the real world go through that kind of thing. Even in more privileged countries, like the United States. And so, though, liking the book for that reason, and, wanting to know more about the world, obviously, you don't want to say that, it's just a cash grab and everything. She did wait until, a lot of things died down. And she's not the only person, continuing the series, I know that. And to be honest, most of these writers probably don't need extra money. I mean, they're probably living pretty comfortably right now. But I can see where some people see that, especially with, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. A lot of people pointed out a big trend in YA, especially, is the blank of blank and blank, I haven't read them yet, but I know there's books by, who is it, Sarah J. Maas, that's like, a court of Thorns and Roses, and, there's A Song of Ice and Fire, which is Game of Thrones, and, God, what else is there? There's quite a few titles that are like that. And, it is surprising, because this book is supposedly, I think they said, over 600 pages, whereas I think the other ones were like 300 and something at the max. So hopefully we will get a lot packed into this, a lot about, the society, the politics, the life of the protagonist, and other such. Hopefully it'll be a good balance of, action and drama and, some other things. There's a whole lot to put into, a book over 600 pages. Especially one with a unique title like that. Obviously it's going back to the idea of the rebellion and the Mockingjay and the corruption of the government. And, I mean, the cover's cool and everything. I kind of like it. I think it's it's different. It's perhaps a little bit more serious. It kind of reminds you a little bit more, I think, of something in fantasy. But, I mean, dystopian and other things can have titles like that. I like The Green. I like the idea of the Golden Mockingjay. Obviously, as people pointed out, the whole branch thing is, kind of going back to the Mockingjay pin and everything. And, you see what they're trying to do there. And, yeah, I think this is going to be pretty cool. I think we're not going to be disappointed.